Welcome to Relatable Wisdom, the podcast where real people share timeless ideas. I'm your host, Wisdom Okonkwo, and in every episode we dive into the philosophies, quotes, points, and life lessons that shape how we live, think, and grow. No matter where you are in life, this show is here to remind you wisdom is everywhere, and it's always relatable most of the times. What's your name and what you do?
My name is Charisse Walker, and I talk about relationships, business, and real estate.
Yeah, wow. Thank you for accepting my invitation to be a guest on the podcast, Charisse.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, what's the quote you want to share with me today?
The quote, "You can do it." It's from a movie, and I'm trying to remember the movie. I should it's horrible,
Okay,
but
let me see. Movie.
I know.
It was
Hold
Adam
on.
Sandler in the movie.
You can do it with Adam Sandler. Yeah. Been a minute.
I think it's The Water Boy, something like that, right?
Waterboy. Is that what
Yeah,
you're thinking?
yeah. That's
I think.
what I'm seeing.
Yeah, the Waterboy is.
You positive on that?
Yeah,
Oh,
positive.
is it The Water Boy or the animal? Because right now I'm seeing different results.
You are? Well, the one that I've seen it was the Waterboy.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. The
Mhm.
Water Boy. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. It's The Water Boy.
But
Yeah,
it was actually Rob Schneider that said it, I believe, but Adam
yeah.
Sandler, he was saying it to Adam Sandler. Yeah. I
Okay.
should know that if I quote it right.
Yeah, that's a movie to add to my list. After this episode, I'll go
It's
I'll go
it's
watch
not
it.
it's not really a movie. It's
It's not
probably the
it's not a good movie.
if you want, like, slapstick comedy, you're in one of those moods where you just wanna it's, like, so stupid it's funny type thing, yeah.
Stupidity
Right.
is funny. ah, what is that? How all Adam Sandler's movies are?
Yes,
Yeah, the guy is a
yes,
comedian.
yes. I
Yeah,
think the
so
only one that wasn't like that was Bedtime Stories or something. That was a good one.
yeah, okay. Oh yeah, bedtime stories. Yeah. But even that,
Just came out.
it had the
Right.
signature of Adam Sandler in it. You could tell
Right.
even without seeing Adam Sandler that this was Adam Sandler's movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
Mhm.
you can do it. Wow. What would you say is the experience that kind of contextualize these quotes for you?
Uh, the last 5 years, I've switched industries and, like, completely I mean, I've been a realtor for 10 years, but the last 5, I found coaching.
Okay.
And sometimes you get overwhelmed with the coaches, and sometimes like I bit off way more than I could chew because I hired too many at one time. Don't ever do that. Just pick one, focus on it, and then finish it, and then go to the next one. So because of that, I struggled and I was overwhelmed, and it's also the imposter syndrome because when you start to like change your life for the better, your brain tries to pull you back, right? The amygdala, and it tries to create this comfort zone because it doesn't want you to be hurt. And so I would just start to, as I'm overwhelmed or some bad things were happening in my life, kind of like right now, it's the perfect storm of just not fun. Um, you just keep going. And no matter how many times you keep getting hit by different things, I would just say, you can do it. You can do it. And it would help me. So it's one of those
Yeah.
things that it's just a quick pick me up to keep going.
Yeah. Oh, you can do it. Why you were just talking about the quote? You rushed it so much that I'm not exactly clear. Are you coaching? Are you saying you coach people or you have coaches that are coaching you?
Both. I just started coaching actually about 6 weeks ago. But before I hired a lot, I spent so much money on coaches and I was like, I couldn't get enough. I was learning so much. I was like, this whole new world had opened up to me that, oh my gosh, if I can actually make this kind of money if I do this. And so it was actually a really cool experience, but it was a lot of money. And so now I'm in the part where I'm implementing it all. But there was a while that the imposter syndrome, because there was one coach that was really, really, actually, there were two that worked together that they were really bad. And the program and the amount of money they charged people and what they delivered it just was not worth it. And so I got really in my head because I didn't want to have a program like that would do the same thing where you felt like it was
Yeah,
really
you
bad.
were robbed, something like that. Just
Mhm.
as a note to self, right? I know that's not what we're talking about. As a note to self, what's like the one thing that's like made you say oh, the coaching was bad? I know right, so that like I'm like, oh, in the future, like I can learn from that encounter, so I don't learn the hard way.
Yeah, note to self, research the person. So, if somebody's starting out, they should be charging almost nothing for the program, either free or almost nothing. I charge like a minimal amount right now because I'm building this coaching program that I want to make sure it works. And so I'm
Yeah.
not going to charge somebody what I would normally charge somebody.
Yeah, because now you're
They
beta
did.
testing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they technically said the program was $100,000, and yet there was no workbook. I didn't pay that much. I didn't pay, but
Wow. My
they
heart.
said they had to. Yeah. Well, I should tell you, it was a $25,000 program, right?
Ah, man. Oh.
And like times that by 8, I mean, that's probably, or 9, that's probably how much I've spent on coaches. But this one in particular was
Wow.
really, really bad. But the reason I signed up was because they were part of this other group. And they said, I will hold your hand every step of the way. And because of that, I thought, well, this is great because it's going to do what I want to do in the
Yeah.
end. And if you can fast track me and they promised $300,000 in 3 months that I could
Ooh.
make. Yeah,
Wow.
so a $25,000 investment's
Yeah, I
not very much
mean, yeah,
to
it's
make
not a big deal.
300.
Yeah.
No, I can name on one finger, maybe 3, how many students were successful with just their program. The people that were
Oh.
successful had already had an audience, had already been doing it for a while. So, I mean, I'm not gonna give them the credit for that, but
Yeah.
people who had no audience, had no anything, and just starting out, I don't know of anybody who was successful in
Yeah.
their program.
So basically, how do I explain that? They've not tested anything. They just had one or
Yeah,
two success, and they're like, oh yeah, coaching program
yeah.
together, and they're putting it out there. Ooh,
Mhm.
wow.
Yeah, and I went with them because of the credibility they had in this group of like, I'm actually wearing the shirt of the group, so I'm, like, trying not to give it away. So don't let me stand up and stick my mouth. I'm like,
We
that's why
wouldn't have
I
noticed if you did not mention that you were wearing the shirt.
I
The
know.
conversation would have just gone on like that. Now I know that everybody on YouTube would be watching and saying, "Oh, let's zoom the video and try to see if we can see what's going on."
No,
Okay,
so good.
from where I am now, the shot is perfectly fine. It's not showing the text on it.
Good, I'm trying
Yeah.
not to. I should never have said anything, but they were in this group and they had credibility. Like the person's been on that other person's stage multiple times, right? And so I thought, well, hey, clearly they've done very, very well for themselves. And so I wish I would have researched them more to see, like, I didn't want to be the guinea pig. And so if you're the guinea pig and you're
Yeah.
charging that kind of money, run. And they've
Yeah.
since disbanded it. I think that program only lasted even a year. And
Ooh.
one of them got up on stage and bragged about how much money that they made off of the people, so that I'm trying not to use pronouns so that it doesn't give away anymore,
Yeah. Yeah.
but so
Yeah.
that they could go and buy the house that they wanted. Like, they got up on
Ooh.
stage in front of 5,000 people and said that. I'm like, "Wow, wow. I'm glad
That's
it could help you buy that house."
yeah. Yeah,
So,
I mean, one of the things about having such experience is that as much as good things too, they tell us what not to be. And so,
yeah.
even though we don't even know what a good coach looks
Mhm.
like, right? We know what we definitely don't want to be as a
Yeah.
coach, right? And so it's
Mhm.
clear, like, oh no, I'm definitely not going to do that. And sometimes people just feel that they have to over promise, right? And like sometimes, even if it's, oh, I'm going to help you start and set up this, this is it, and you charge according to that. You don't have to like promise that, "Oh, I'm going to give you 20." Oh, I see, because the amount of money they're collecting, they feel like they
Mm,
have to promise you the whole world. Because $25,000,
mhm.
that's a lot of money. That's a lot.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is, and
yeah.
it was, but I will tell you there's a silver lining that, I met amazing people, and to this day, we stay in touch. It's been 3, almost 4 years, and we still so I have really, really expensive friends, is what I say.
So it's not a loss, right? Because yeah,
No.
because thing here is that if someone's paying $25,000 in such a group, and then you have
Mm,
3% or maybe 5%, they're all paying $25,000. First of all, that stuff is really important to them for them to cover $25,000 and pay for it,
mhm,
right? And it's just show the caliber of kind of persons that are in that group, and so the
mm.
quality of friends you get, they're expensive.
'Cause they're
Yeah.
willing, you have like-minded friends, and I don't wanna tell you the whole program was a bust, like, there's some things that I took from it, and if you have to be the type of person that It's up to you to take things from it, right? And I didn't implement all the stuff that I could have. So it's not like I'm only blaming the coaches. I just
Yeah.
think because the program wasn't set up very well and the
Yeah.
people they had coaching, because they never did anything, like they would meet maybe once every other week or something, or they had other people that were clearly not qualified to be in those positions to help and to coach through. So it's all good. It's fine. It's taken me a couple years, but I've overcome it and
Yeah.
determined to make something from it anyway.
Yeah. You're a coach, right? I know you did mention, but I just want to be sure. For the purpose of this conversation, you're a coach, right?
I
Okay.
am.
What's I guess the question is what's like what kind of what specific what
Mhm.
do you coach people on?
I'm gonna like move my book over there. So the first thing is real estate. So I do real estate investing, teach people there's 8 different ways that you can invest in real estate. So I meet actually this is a great time for people because I'm doing one-on-one with people. I will not
Okay.
ever do this again because I want them to choose the path that they're going. So like if this person wants to do flipping or buy and holds, this is where I'm teaching them specifically with only the people who have signed up in the program for that track. So as the tracks move out, I mean, obviously I'm recording the sessions, I'm doing things like that. So super, super cheap right now. But I do real estate coaching because I've done it in the investing stuff. And then this book right here, it's called Flipping the Iceberg. Discovering and celebrating what lies beneath the surface in your relationships. So, we're doing relationship workshops to try to help people, first of all, heal themselves. And then before they get married, talk about, hey, how, like, do we really know each other? Are we really ready to commit? And
Yeah.
then I'm writing my second book, which is After the I Do. So, we'll
Wow.
have workshops for couples to come together and again heal from them, like heal their own stuff. Because if they're not doing very well, it's most likely because of things that they've done or experienced in their life that they're bringing into the relationship, and then having the couples get together and reconnect, rediscover each other.
Wow. The reason I asked that is that you you've from the experience you told us. I don't want to dwell on the experience, but I just make this reference and then we'll move on. From
Yeah.
the experience you brought up, you've learned how not to, what not to be, right? And I feel like that's a very valuable lesson because now you're like,
Mhm.
no, no, that you know what you felt, being ripped off, of course, quote unquote, but so now you're like, you don't want to, you want to make sure that everything you promise, and like, oh, this and this is something that
Mhm.
they can get, except of course they don't take the action or do what you say they should do. That's when they can't get the result. But I'm not telling them, oh, I'll give this. If you can give them the star, no problem. But if you
Mhm.
can't get them to get the star, then don't promise it. Because I feel like people just take
Right.
the top 0.5% and then
Mhm.
promise that in the courses and the coaching. Instead of you should actually look at the bell curve, right?
Yeah.
The average, and that should be what you should promise, not the top 0.5%. Maybe out of 2,000 persons, just 10
Yes.
persons get that. And I'm like, no, that's not the ideal. That's not the the real thing, right? Wow.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, and mine is one of those. I mean, obviously, I can't guarantee that you're gonna have a
Yeah.
perfect relationship, and I would never, so run if
Yeah.
anybody
Yeah.
does. But
Exactly.
with my real estate, I will say that, it's a 6-month program, but I will stay with them as long as they're doing the work because they have
Yeah.
homework every single week. As long as they're doing the work and they're really trying to do things, I will stay with them until they make their money back, which right now it's such a, like, nominal investment that
Yeah.
it should be a no-brainer, but
Oh.
I'm not it's a money back guarantee, like, I'm gonna make sure that they get what they paid.
Yeah, well, that's yeah, money back guarantee. Well, for me, as much as I don't want even to talk about the story, I feel like the story is all connected to um this you can do it because a lot of persons, right? Their first two encounters in trying to learn. Most persons they don't even know how this internet stuff work, and so they're trying to like, okay, how do I build an internet business? How do I convert what I know into a business online? And then the first two courses, the first two coaches, they get it's a terrible experience, and so they end up saying, well, I guess this stuff is not made for me because every other person they said, all those people they use as result case studies, they're crushing it, they're doing it, and me, I mean, I did what they said I should do, but no results. Stuff is not
Mhm.
for me. And so
Yeah.
that you can do it, it's still a reminder that sometimes it's not you, sometimes it's just the system the what you're doing, and that's it's at fault. Not even that you're not serious or you don't even know you're not doing. Yeah, yeah. It's not that you're not serious. Let's take a quick pause. If you're enjoying this conversation and want more thought-provoking ideas straight to your inbox, join the Relatable Wisdom email list. It's free, quick, and filled with bite-sized insights, inspiring quotes, and behind-the-scenes reflections from our guests. Just head to relatablewisdom.com/join. That is relatablewisdom.com/join, or tap the link in the show notes. And hey, subscribing to the podcast helps more than you think, and it's free. So if you haven't already, hit that follow button wherever you're listening. All right, let's get back to the conversation.
Well, I think also I got it because I used to teach college, and these students, a lot of them were high school dropouts. A lot of them were the first people to ever attend college. A lot of them maybe didn't work out in community college, and they just had super low self-esteems of themselves. And so my goal when I started, and I taught all the general education. So if it was a 2-year program, I had them between about 4 times. And then if they went to the 4-year program, I had them between 6 and 8 times. And it was a very beginning class, and I would say, "Look to your left, look to your right, one of you will finish." And they're like, "What? That's really rude." And I said, "Well, that's what the university finishing it's a 33% graduation rate."
Yeah, graduation rate.
Which in
Yeah.
our schools, if we ever had a 33%, we'd be shut down. It was one of those, like, I had 100% attrition, or not attrition, retention rate, where all of the students that started, almost all of them finished that first semester. And so it's the same thing as motivating them. So when I would watch them walk across the graduation stage and they're bawling, or their family's like, "You can't do this and you're horrible." Like, I'd hear all these stories for the 2
Yeah.
years. And then when they see them walking across the graduation stage, their whole family, those people that were the naysayers, are like, "Wow!" And so you really can accomplish whatever you want. And so you can do it. You're the only one stopping yourself.
Yeah, you can do it. But earlier on at the beginning, you did mention imposter syndrome. And
Mhm.
let's like I feel like at a point in time we just have to be brutally honest, right? If for most of the things that we want to do, let's say being a coach, like I've never been a coach before in my life. If I'm trying to be a coach, I've never done it before in my life. So I don't know what I'm doing, right? Yeah, like that's like let's call the facts the fact. Like if I try to coach my first attempt, I don't know what I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
And so it's because the thing is we are trying to look and be like an expert when in actual sense we are a beginner. And so how do I explain? A student doesn't feel like an imposter. The people who feel like an
Mm,
imposter are experts who actually don't know what they're doing. Because as a student, you're learning. Like a student doesn't say,
yeah.
"Oh," they ask questions. "Oh, sir, how does this thing work?" Right? There's no like, "Oh, I feel like an imposter." Like that's why you're learning. And so most of the times, you're like, "Oh, the imposter syndrome is it's not necessarily a syndrome. It's just the fact. You're starting
Yeah.
out. This is your first time learning to coach. You don't know what you're doing. You need to learn. You need to get some reps in. You need to practice. You need to do some
Yep.
couple of things, and then you get to know what you're doing. But for now,
Mhm.
that's just the way it is, and you just have to face it the way it is. Well, people are just
Mhm.
afraid of looking what's the word of looking stupid rather than being stupid, right? So people will prefer to be stupid but not look stupid, so that's yeah, and rather than look stupid and reach out and say, yeah, excuse me, ma, can you coach me and all those things, and then they get to learn for maybe 6 months, and then 8 months after, they know what they're doing in the coaching. Now, of course, it's not like they will learn everything, but they know their left and their right. Uh, yeah.
And amen to what you're saying, because I mean, you really do need to put in the time. And I spent years learning how to do this so that I could implement it. And it doesn't take that long. For me, I have a real estate business, I have a lending business, I have
Yeah.
children, I have multiple rentals that I'm trying to get rid of at this point because I'd rather be a coach than deal with
Yeah.
people destroying my house is a nightmare right now. So I think that, you could get in there. I know people that they're doing really well in 1 month, and it's what you want to accomplish. And for the longest time, I think I remember I went to my very first conference and I met my husband because he does not go to stuff like that. He hates it, like poke his eyes out type thing. And I said, "I'm gonna make $1 million in 1 year." And he just went, and I remember I took a picture of his face so that I could put that, and it was, like, ingrained in my face for a long time. I'm like, "I
Ah.
will prove you wrong." So that's been, like, my driving force, because part of it is him laughing at me and like, "Oh, maybe I can't do it." And then I have bad experiences. And then the other part's like, I absolutely can do better job than some of these other people. The difference is they're implementing and I wasn't. And so,
Yeah.
I just started implementing and that's where the momentum starts to go. And it's been fun.
Yeah. I think there's a kind of clarity that comes from, doing the work.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, just get into the trenches. There's so many things you learn, especially if you're curious and inquisitive enough. Because now
Mhm.
because how do I put that? As a beginner, we don't know what we don't know, and so as much as coaches and they'll give us training programs and all that, right? Which is nice, but there are certain other things that you will not even know that. Oh yeah, I don't know this thing, right? Like you
Mm.
get this first experience. What am I supposed to do? Nobody taught me this, and then you have to figure that out, and eventually you're like, oh yeah, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. I think
uh,
he's easy. Somebody told me once, that he goes, "Your kids, stop paying for them to go out when you go out to eat." And I'm not talking like young kids. I'm talking about adults. And
yeah,
this
yeah.
totally relates to me because I have some kids that just expect me to pay and they're quite old. Like I was their age when I had them. Come
Yeah.
on. And so I'm like bated breath as he's telling me this whole story. He's like, yeah, because if your kids are going to start to resent you because they now are dependent upon you and then they don't have the confidence in themselves to be able to do it. And so you haven't given them the competence. So they have the confidence. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so true. And I think it's the same thing. Like I spent so much time learning to get the competence that I lost the confidence. Had I just gone out, like this is what I did with my real estate. Had I just gone and acted, stopped thinking about it, just done it, I would be probably the millionaire with this specific coaching program, right? But I
Yeah.
didn't do that. And so I was
Yeah.
like, I have to have the confidence. I have to have the and no, I needed the confidence. So those are
Yeah.
my like two words that I use now.
Yeah, I still what you just said reminds me of a really gut-wrenching video I watched, and that video, like it felt like they were just calling out my name. I don't know that guy. If I see that guy in real life, we'll fight because it was like you this video you like I don't know this guy, but this guy just made this video for me. What's going on here? And the title of the video was "People Dumber Than You uh, Are Making." There something like people don't mind you are making 10x what you're making. And when I looked at the quote and I'm like, whew, it just occurred to me that's true. Because
Mhm.
I'm analyzing, over analyzing, okay, this. Whereas those people that don't even know what they're doing, they're like, okay, yeah. Now you said do A, do B. Okay, yeah, yeah. They do A, they do B. And then they're like, okay, yeah, they do. Right? And they're getting the reps, they're getting the results, and then they're learning, and then they're doing, and then they're getting results. But for me, I'm just in the sideline and I'm like, oh, I need to do some research. I need to get these things figured out. I need to do all these other things. Oh, no, if these things go, and I'm like, oh, wow. And so nothing. And so even though I'm like, oh yeah, but I'm intelligent. I'm like, yeah, I'm like, but you're broke.
Well,
Yeah.
I invested in another program in February and they give you this wristband. I actually took it off. But I wore it for several months and for two reasons. I wasn't going to take it off until I made my investment back. And so
Okay.
every single day I had to look at that and go, I still haven't done it yet. I still haven't done it yet. And so obviously it's gone. So I did do what
Yay!
I paid for it. So you need a reminder or you need something. You need a coach. You need people telling you, hey, you can do this and you deserve it. I think a lot of people, it's that the imposter syndrome we talked about, it's you don't think you deserve it or you're afraid of the success. Like I was married to somebody for quite a while that he was afraid of failure, so much so that he lost his entire family. So
Oh,
it was like the self-fulfilling prophecy. He was afraid that he'd
yeah.
succeed, so he never
Yeah.
tried, so he
Yeah.
failed, or he'd afraid that he was gonna fail, so he never tried. So he lost his entire family because he just wouldn't do what he was supposed to, and I think that that's where the turning point for me was to watch him be this shackled to his own fears, and to this day, he still, cannot support himself, his parents do. That it's sad to me to watch that, somebody who's so bright, who's so talented, who's so capable is so
Of
handicapped.
more. Yeah, that's every time I think I should watch that video again so I can remind myself that,
Yeah.
dude, you just have to you have to do it, right? And for me,
Mm.
this just as yeah, this played out when I started this podcast, right? That's when I started the podcast, I was like, I had all these things, all the reasons, right? All the legit reasons that why I shouldn't be doing the podcast, I shouldn't be recording an episode.
Mm.
And I just booked interviews with guests. And now I'm
Yeah.
like I didn't want to like how do I put it now? I'm the kind of person that I like my reputation, right? A lot of persons, they don't mind damaging their reputation to themselves, but they will preserve the reputation they have in front of other people, right? So what I mean is that if I make promise to myself and I'm like, I'm going to record a solo episode and post that, then not really. Today is not really the day. But if I do book an interview with a guest, I'm like, I'm going to show up. I'm not that kind of person. I don't cancel stuff and all that. And so I started doing interviews. The first 5 interviews I did, I was sweating. Like, I don't even know where the heat was coming from. But I had this handkerchief, right? Clean my face. You know all those comedy skits they do where water is pouring? That stuff was really literally happening in real life. The moment I finished rubbing my face, another one would just be rubbed. I was like, what? And I would just be asking questions. And most of my guests, they were understandable. They knew that, it was the first time. They were just calm and quiet. I was just shaking and everything. And the first 10 interview, the first 15 interview, the 20th interview, and I'm like, okay, 60 interview. And I'm like, and now, even up to this day, right, before I do an interview, I still feel like, you don't know what you're doing. But, because I have this evidence, right, of doing stuff over and over again, I've done over 200 interviews, right? I remind myself that, oh, yeah, dude, you've done 200 interviews, it's not a big deal, right? But the problem is that if you're starting out, you don't have that evidence, right? You've been in real estate for over 10 years now, and you have all these reps of these things you've done, so that even though there are times where you feel like you want to doubt yourself, you have this evidence that prove otherwise. But if you're just starting out, if I'm just starting out real estate, I don't have those things, and so there's really nothing to base it on at the beginning. And so the question is just that we have to find a way to fast track it so that we can get the reps as fast as possible.
Amen to that. Yeah. I know my podcast, and it's horrible today because I've been working on a house trying to get it ready. And I'm like, oh, shoot, I've got the podcast tonight. And normally I'd have like my makeup done perfectly. My hair would be, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to be real today. And I think that that's the part that I'm authentic. I've flipped my iceberg. You see the real me today. But I think that that's the thing is that, it is so easy to make excuses. Like, it's late here, right? And so I could have easily, oh, it's too late, I'm just going to cancel. But no, you show up and you not perform, but you do what you say you're going to do. And those 2 steps right there are going to take you way farther than anybody else, because if you can get out of your own head and just do it anyway. Exercise, it's the same thing. I trained for a marathon, ran my marathon last year, and I had motivation. Like, I'm just going to get out of bed. I'm not going to think about it. I'm just going to do it. And right after the marathon, I'm like, I should probably start exercising again, right? And my husband's like, why are your legs jiggling when you step? I'm like, because I don't work out anymore, right? Thanks for pointing that out. But it's that repetition, and you get stronger and stronger and stronger, and it's the same thing. So just show up. That's the first step.
Yeah, and I think that's where the self-worth, the self-respect is coming from most of the times, because I think of it like sometimes I like to see ourselves as 2 distinct individuals, right? It's like, let's say, for example, a husband and a wife, right? If the husband is always telling you that, oh, honey, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to do this, and every time he says it genuinely, he's like, you look at his face, he's like, whoa, yeah, he means what he says, and he doesn't buy it. And like, okay, first time, second time, and over the time. And guess what? At the point in time when he says anything or promises anything, they're like, oh, it's just one of those promises. And so in terms of those areas, there's no respect in terms of it. So it's the same thing with ourselves, right? We tell ourselves so many things that we're going to do, right? These are things that nobody knows of, right? We just tell ourselves, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. We don't do them. Right? It's not like we fail. This is not, oh, we don't even show up in the arena. And so over time, even when we tell ourselves, like in the case of, oh, I'm going to make this, I'm going to do this, even we ourselves, like, there's this other voice in our head that's like, will you keep quiet there? What are you saying? Is it you that I know or someone else? And that's just the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Wow. I'm looking at the time now and I'm like, we're 3 minutes over the time. And I'm like, wow.
Oh,
Yeah. Such an
it's
interesting
been fun.
conversation. Yeah.
I've enjoyed the conversation. Thank you.
It's always nice to meet, to have repeat guests. Because when I meet them again, I feel like the first interview is always, oh, I'm trying to get to know you, stranger danger. Oh, and then you just, you're asking. And then the second time you're like, oh yeah, I know this guy. And I'm like, yeah. It's subconscious, like it's the brain, like, oh, this is a stranger danger. And like, I have no theory to support that. This is just my crazy observation. Okay. You mentioned
it's been so fun.
okay,
Oh, go ahead.
you mentioned your podcast, and I know I'm aware of the podcast you're talking about, but I want you to talk about the podcast so people who are just listening for the first time, who
Mhm.
they've not listened to the other episode from that other podcast, they'll know what we're talking about.
So it's called Unbreakable Mompreneurs. I've actually just started having
Yeah.
guys, so I might have to start. I mean, once I hit my 200 episode, we might rebrand because I'm starting to have guy guests, moms,
Wait,
and
I
so.
might have to
But
slip in the
I
meantime
know,
before you rebrand.
yeah.
Ah,
Um, but it came from when I left the proprietary education business and I decided to become a real estate agent. I mean, that's an entrepreneur, and I swore I'd never do it. Because I was afraid I couldn't make enough money, and yet I have, like, made so much more than I ever could have as a college director, and
yeah.
so I think that it's sometimes we're afraid to follow our passion, and what I realized
Mm,
is women and men as well, so all of you listeners, listen up, that you can achieve whatever you want, and you're the only person. So if you're going to work every day and going, "Ugh, I hate this job," or I'm miserable," or you feel like you're chained or shackled to this position, know that there's freedom. There's another way. I'm not saying being an entrepreneur is less time, but at least you can have your own schedule that you want. And so I think that the whole premise behind it is I want women who are mothers, because I have 6 kids, I want them to understand that they can follow their passion. I want them to find their peace in their life, which means if there's something they feel like they need to do, because I believe all of us are put here on this earth for a purpose. So you need to find your purpose. Then you need to find your passion, and then you can actually find the peace that comes with it because you know that you're in alignment with yourself. And so we talk about business topics, we talk about life, we talk about motherhood, we talk about relationships, actually. You name it, anything in any of those areas, and sometimes real estate as well, because that's entrepreneur. But
yeah.
relationships, real estate, and business. Those are like I have a master's in business. I love teaching about business and how to improve it. And so that's what the podcast is all about. Men or
Yeah.
women can listen to it.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Okay. So where can they listen to the podcast and connect with you?
Yeah, so on all of them, I mean, you've got it on Spotify, Apple, so the downloads, YouTube. I have a YouTube, it's just Unbreakable Mompreneurs and the YouTube link, and then it's unbreakablemompreneurs.com. So you can go there and listen to the latest episodes as well.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. I'll be sure to put all the links in the show notes and description so listeners can just click and go directly to the sites mentioned. You've been listening to Relatable Wisdom, and I've been your host, Wisdom Okonkwo. You've been listening to the podcast where every story, quote, and insight helps you see life a little differently. If you enjoyed today's episode, follow the show on your favorite podcast app and share it with someone who loved the conversation. For more inspiring voices and timeless wisdom, visit relatablewisdom.com. Until next time, keep living, learning, and collecting wisdom that matters most to you.